I'd like to defer to Mr. Enderhees.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include resolution defining duties of the Colerain Township Administrator and individual trustees.
Second.
Mr. Enderhees?
Aye.
Mr. Insco?
Nay.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye. Okay. With that, I'd like to ask everybody to stand. And as you're doing that, if just a friendly reminder to turn off all your phones, that would be helpful. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you could remain standing for our moment of silence. Obviously, this evening, we're remembering with deep hearts the tragedy that befell our nation over the weekend. So let's remember all the victims of the Orlando massacre, and especially their family and friends who are grieving right now. Please be seated. Thank you. And I'd like to welcome Ben Cottingham, who's here tonight for his merit badge. Ben, welcome to you and your mother. Glad you're here. Presentations, employee recognition.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
This evening, I'd like to recognize 2 fire department employees for 30 years of dedicated public service to this community. Each of these individuals have started their career here at Colerain Township some 30 years ago and have loyally served this community and the fire department, providing fire protection and emergency medical services. At this time, I'd like to ask Chief Greg Brown and Tom Erman to step forward, please. Chief Brown has served in various capacities in the department, as a firefighter, as a company officer, lieutenant, captain, and also headed our emergency medical services during his career. He now serves as the battalion chief of Unit 2, overseeing he has command of Unit 2 in his current capacity. As I said before, Greg has served 30 years with the department, and Greg, I appreciate your time and service to the community and you, the department.
Thank you.
Tom Urban also, 30 years, but except in a part-time capacity. I think it's kind of unheard of in the fire department service, the combination fire department for an individual to serve 30 years with a single department. And Tom, since I know him, he would work his career job as a printer during the day and then come to the fire department and work during the evening. And he's done that for quite some time. And Tom, I greatly appreciate your service to the community and to the department as well. As a token of appreciation, I'd like to offer you these plaques for your time of service. All right, thank you.
You know, this is what I do. Congratulations.
Chief. I'd like to introduce Randy Perkins from Shiver Security Systems. He would like to present an award to one of our police officers.
Thank you, Chief. Welcome. Good evening. Thank you. I'd like to bring up Officer Hatcher. Officer Hatcher was dispatched to the Beavis Elementary on a burglar alarm through our services. We have verified audio in the Northwest School Districts where we're actually able to hear inside of the buildings. So there was actually an occupied burglary going on when Officer Hatcher here responded and was able to make an apprehension and an arrest out of it. So from us at Sonatrol Cybersecurity, we'd like to just present a certificate of appreciation. Thank you very much. And truly, we really appreciate the township, the police department, and the citizens of Colerain here to have us down here. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the recognition. Okay, citizens address. Rich McVeigh. How you doing?
Rich McVeigh, Daleview Road. Congratulations, Chief, to those guys for 30 years. Having put 30 years in my old job, I know that it's not always fun, and I appreciate the hard work that you guys have done. I read in the newspaper some time ago that the trustees are interested in pursuing an income tax or an earning tax. I also heard a rumor that you were considering putting a levy on the ballot for parks. Well, if that's true or not, it was a rumor. You can clear that up. And considering maybe not holding the Taste of Colerain. Now, our taxes are currently too high. We're all currently in the top 3 or 4 townships in the county. And we're not competitive with many areas like Ross and others where people are moving away from us. Higher taxes are not the answer to attracting new home buyers. Now, some of the decisions made by the trustees have exacerbated problems. I want to talk about the loan to the CMHA. We're into the CMHA property on John Rose for, I don't know, $360,000, maybe $400,000 for all the work that's been done down there. And the first deal was that they were going to give us the money back by the end of 14, and then it was moved out to the middle of 15, and now we are June of 15, and now we're a year later. So we have $400,000, or close to $400,000 that the CMHA is, I guess, should be repaying us for, and we could be using that money for other things in the township. So I'd ask that you guys be more aggressive and pursue getting the money that the taxpayers have given you and bring it back here so that we can use it. I want to talk a little bit about some of the tax breaks that have been given. You know, in Kroger here, this new marketplace, many of the residents may not know that they have a 20-year relief on their taxes. Frank says it's about a $25 million, and that's $25 million business. So I guess it's 20 years if it's not. Correct me, Frank. What is it? How many years they got? Well, you can correct me if I'm wrong. All right, so I was told it was 20 years, and that's what the document said, so that you guys have posted. And if that's the case, they are saving about $140,000 a year in taxes, maybe 100, 150. We've given tax breaks to Escape and to Bonnie Group, and we got this bond for the corner 4 or 5 years ago, and we still haven't spent it, so we're spending interest on that. And it doesn't seem to me like that's the good use of our money. Particularly with Kroger, I looked at that, and we've stuck a pretty big building in a very small lot, and what the benefits get for the neighbors are they get a wall with no buffering, so it doesn't look like it's something that really is good for our residents, and we're giving up tax dollars to get it. I know some people want a marketplace, so I'm not saying that's the case, but I don't think we had to give them that much money to get it. We spent close to $300,000 for the sign over the expressway, and there are a lot of comments about that, and I guess we're going to end up spending more money so they can read it. We built conference rooms. We're not asking the chamber to pay its own way. I could go on and give you more examples. I won't do that. Mr. Rowan likes to use the term self-sustaining kind of approaches to businesses, and between our administrator and his 2 assistants, we pay salaries and benefits close to $450,000 a year. And in business, we normally expect each employee to return 5 times their earnings. Now, this isn't business, I understand that, but in the case of the township, that equates to these guys bringing in for us $2 million a year. Maybe not $2 million, but something. But in fact, what we're doing is giving away tax dollars. Doesn't make sense, especially when you're now saying you need an income tax and a park levy tax. The idea that we can't afford the taste of Colerain and fireworks is ludicrous. I heard that too. Well, we're going to put that to an end tonight. But the last time I heard this thing discussed, it came on the heels of authorizing for the administrator and the 2 assistants perks, picking up their employee services or half of it, giving money for driving a car for $45,000 or $50,000 a year, just for perks. And but you couldn't find money to fund the taste of Colerain. Now, residents pay 78% of our taxes. When are the trustees going to start putting them first, is my question. Thank you.
I have a brief question. What is the holdup on getting the money that he's talking about for the on the CMHA deal? Do we know?
Well, they have to close on the property, so they're out to bid right now. Bids came in over estimates, so they're rebidding. Once they close on the bids and finalize, they'll close on the properties. So we still own the parcels, the township, the CSC. So once they close on the properties, then they'll give us $360 back. We have a contract with them to pay us $360 for those parcels.
Fair enough. Thank you.
I hate to, but I have to give some of the facts here after this dissertation. Kroger is not getting a tax abatement for 20 years. That's blatantly false. If you understand TIF, they're paying their full tax liability, and what we're doing with a TIF, tax increment financing, is financing the infrastructure for the project. We put in, when you look at the one thing that he did get correct was the tax abatement on the Dillard's parcel and the Great Escape Cinema. So we deferred about $1 million in taxes to get a $16 million cinema in the township that people really love and enjoy to this day. And if you talk to the owner, and he'd be happy to write something here, that was the thing that brought him into Colerain Township, because he could have went into a neighboring township, and he went here and he redeveloped something that was a hole in the ground where a J.C. Penney was. All told, there's been probably about $25 million in development around the mall, and your all-in cost for incentives basically is about $2 million. So your payback is about 90% of those costs were paid back in year one. So I think it's a no-brainer that we did the right thing on that. On the corner, he said we're still paying interest on that, and we still haven't spent the money. We have spent the money, so that's not true as well. And as far as $45,000 for me to have a car for benefits, that's false as well. So I just wanted to get the facts. Thanks.
Thanks, Frank.
Mr. Ritter, just to clarify on the taste of Colerain, that possibly could have came out of the work session on Saturday. I know we talked a little bit about some of the challenges with the taste. The taste of Colerain is a separate committee. It's not funded by the township. They do have startup funds. They do have bands under contract. The committee is having some challenges filling it with food vendors. I think we've to date only received 10. There seems to be a lack of interest in backfilling, so the events committee has reached out. They were hoping to maybe bring in some food trucks. I guess there's a big food truck event that weekend. So they're still working on it, but it is becoming more and more difficult. We've lost some volunteers on that committee. It's primarily run by the staff. Representatives of the various departments, but it's still moving forward. But they have their own fund, so the only thing we're paying for is overtime cost and police cost to man the event. With regards to the income tax, I'm not exactly sure where that came from, other than the fact that I received a call from a reporter at some point reporting out on some sort of a township omnibus bill, and asked if I had any comments with regards to the issues. And I said, well, from a substantive perspective, I didn't see that it was really going to benefit Colerain. They said, well, what kinds of things would you like to see changed? And I said, well, reinstatement of the local government fund would be a first step. And then secondly, if townships had some other vehicle to give the community the opportunity to pass a tax, because we've heard time and time again that property taxes are the only avenue we have, and if we had the option to do an income tax, it might be something that some community members might have some interest in. So I'm not exactly sure what Mr. McVeigh is referring to, but I did have that comment with the media.
Thanks, Jeff. You're saying we have 10 vendors. What do we normally have for that?
We've had upwards of 30, 35.
Is there a number if we don't hit it, or that would? I almost think from a vendor perspective, if there's less, then maybe you'd have more business. I don't know. I'm trying to look at the positive side of that, I guess.
I think the challenge is you'll have a lot of empty slots. You'll probably not use all the parking lot, longer lines, those types of things, and trying to come up with variety so you don't have all barbecue stands. You have a little bit of variety. But the committee's still working. But if there's people that would like to help volunteer on the committee, they lost a huge asset with Joe. Joe did a great job going out and getting vendors, and they're struggling this year. We're just not getting a lot of feedback.
In the past, it's always been businesses and whatnot. Is it possible for somebody that lives on Yellowwood to come up and have a stand or something like that to do baked goods or something? I mean, is this?
I think it's possible. I mean, there's a process where they have to go make application. They have to pass the health inspection from the health department as far as if they're preparing any kind of food.
I was going to bring up later, actually, as far as help. You mentioned the committee's looking for more help and more people. Rachel McKinney, I think, would be an excellent choice for that. I would love to have you on board with sponsorships and whatnot. I know you had some experience with Taste of Blue Ash, am I right? Westfest, that's right. Forgive me. So, yeah, we'd love to have you on board, not to call you out, but thank you.
Jim Acton.
Good evening, group.
Good evening. Good evening.
I've got a couple of points I want to bring up this evening. Mr. Fiddley back here is asking that he can't hear any of you. Could you all please move a little closer to your microphones? Appreciate it. I have been in business for quite a few years, and I don't know if any of you has received this magazine, Cincy. It's a very good magazine about all the townships, all the different places in Cincinnati. And the last 4 years that I've been getting this magazine, I've always wondered why we're not one of the top 50 communities, townships, cities in the tri-state area. Has anybody reached out to these people to find out why we're not there?
Their opinion is what the article is, right? It's an opinion article.
Well, let's put it this way. It's a pretty good opinion there, Mike. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 20 townships involved in this, and we're not in it. Why? I guess nobody has an answer. Crime, safest neighborhoods. Again, we got 50 city, townships. We're not there either. Chief, nothing against you. I think you're doing a great job myself. But we're not there. Why? I guess nobody has an answer for that. So I guess I'll investigate further myself then. I wish Steve was here this evening. I wanted to thank his people, especially Roger and Tom, for the excellent work they've done up in the corner for the memorial ceremonies and also for the flowers that they planted. I understand that Tom came up with a new drill process. They can drill through the flowers in or away he goes. It worked out very well. Mr. Birkenhauer, I have a question to ask you since you were in the middle of this about 3 years ago, but who actually owns the property where the Goodyear old store is at, where the printer was at, where the realtor's at, and where the bank, Fifth Third Bank's at?
Answer it after you're done.
Please?
I'll answer it after you're done.
Oh, okay. I just was open, wanted to know. My question, final question then, Frank, who's collecting? If we own it, which I was told, we bought bonds to purchase that property there. So I believe we probably still own it. Who's collecting the rent on those four pieces of property? And where's that rental money going? If we don't do it.
Are you done? Is that all?
Well, if you want to cut me off, Jeff, fine.
I asked if you were done so we could proceed to answering your questions. That's hardly cutting you off.
Why don't you give people a chance to rebut and say something?
Frank, would you like to say anything?
Go ahead, Frank.
I want to address, we sold the bonds for the parking lot, and they're paying it back to the TIF.
Right, but we do not own the property. I believe Kroger now owns those parcels, but I'm not sure.
Kroger owns it. Right.
Yeah, the township does not own any of that property.
Dan?
As far as the Cincy magazine, when the McVeighs brought this up, probably 11 or 12, I tried to reach out to the reporter that wrote that article. Never got any response back. The problem you have with those kind of articles is Mr. Indy says they're objective. You know, that's the discretion of the writer, basically. You can look at some of those crime numbers associated with it, and Chief Denny, correct me if I'm wrong, there's people that are communities that have zero crime reported, yet they're not number one. The reporting of crime, and we've had this conversation with the McVeighs, Mrs. McVeigh, specifically to explain how crime is often reported, to understand what data they're taking to decide whether your top 5 of crime or whatever their rationale is. Ultimately, it's up to the writer to decide whether you fit within the top 50. I'd love to have an opportunity to be up there because I believe we are a top 50 community. Again, if you watch the benchmarking presentation by Chief Denny earlier this year, he benchmarked communities that were like-sized communities relative to population, density, things of that nature, household income, all those things that demonstrate a community that you want to look at. Not a community that has 10,000 people or a community that has 4 square miles, but a community that has 60+ thousand people. And we were very high, short of the Ketterings and maybe the Westchesters. Our crime was very low in comparison, even to some of the communities that surround us. We're not where they want to be, absolutely. If it's up to the chief, if you ask him and his men, they want zero crime. Because that's what the community wants and that's what they strive for. But the reality is, you live in a community, you have to be responsive. The thing that you really need to understand is it's not necessarily the reporting of the crime, it's what you do after you learn of the crime that has occurred. If you're learning that there's rampant crime going on, your question to the chief should be, what are you doing about it? What are you doing to solve it? What are you doing to work through it to get rid of that problem? And that's the answers a community needs to ask their chief is, what are you doing, rather than saying, okay, stats are stats. You can play stats to be great or you can play stats to be not so good. The question to the chief is, if this is the number, what are you doing to make sure it gets better, or what are your guys doing to keep it from getting worse? So I'd love to be. I agree with you, and I don't think there's anybody on this board that wouldn't say, heck yes, we deserve to be in the top 50. We do have 2 of the top communities in relative to income. The zip codes, when they did that zip code study, the 4-7 zip code and the 5-2 zip code are in the top top 5 in the entire region for incomes. So I don't know when that study was done, maybe 12 or 13. We're proud of that. But trust me, we like to work and be recognized, but sometimes did they call, my question, Chief, did they call and ask for our data?
No, they didn't. In fact, when I reviewed the article myself, I was kind of confused. Terrace Park is number 1, and they claim they've had no crime for the entire year, ever, not even a theft. Number 9 has more violent crime than number 50, and to me, a safe community is violent crime. Why is number 50 not where number 9 is? So I don't know what their criteria is, and it's very confusing, and it's really hard to kind of compare yourself when you don't know what stats they're using and what facts they're using to make their comparisons.
Thank you. Bernie Fiddleday.
Sure. Last meeting when I was here, I asked what was the statutory authority for giving money to the chamber, and this property owner cited a change to the Constitution. That was 1974. I'm assuming he was talking about Article 8, Section 13, which deals with economic development. That's very specific. This is that opinion. This is that right here. So his opinion was giving money to the chamber was okay, based on that. But yet this is for economic development. There's a Attorney General's opinion, though, that says municipalities are without power to pay membership dues to local chamber of commerce. Payment would constitute a mingling of public funds with private funds, violation of Article 8, Section 6, Constitution of Ohio. Payment would constitute expenditure of public funds for other than a public purpose. That's the Attorney General's opinion, much more pages than what's here. So it's apparent, and that's never been overturned or anything, that what you guys are doing is illegal. His opinion doesn't supersede the Attorney General's. So my question is, when are you all going to well, I guess what I'm requesting, the board, when is the board going to stop the immediately the apparent illegal activity with regard to the Chamber of Commerce and paying their dues and stuff? I'm requesting that the township seek payment of approximately $100,000. That's what we've given them. In 2014, we gave them $85,000, and yet we're charging people to get in the parks, or we charge people to get in the senior center, but we gave them $85,000. And that appears it was given to the chamber illegally, because we don't have that authority according to the chamber's or to the Attorney General's opinion. So that's what I have to say, and I'd sure like for you guys to look at it, because what I said, it needs to stop immediately. It needs to get fixed, and you need to seek how that money is going to get paid back to us taxpayers. In regard to some of the other things that were discussed tonight, as far as how we rate, I think there's a lot of things more than crime that enter into it. We all know our taxes are high compared to other townships. Of course, the landfill doesn't help us any. But, we have some property maintenance issues. I think we still have them. I think the police officers are apparently still working at that. At least I think we're trying to address it, but we still got a long way to go with property maintenance. Our property values last year, out of all the townships, we were the lowest. So that's an issue. So all those things, I think, enter into it. And I'm just throwing out some things that for you all to think about. You all sit there like you don't know what to do. I'm sure you do. Enforce your zoning, enforce your property maintenance code. Don't be going off and every time you turn around, it seems like we want to put a tax levy or charge for the parks or do this. And yet you got pretty good income. Maybe you need to learn to live within your means. And I guess for me, none of you take offense, but I'm kind of wondering what happened to the old Republican conservative trustees we used to have. I don't see them anymore because everybody's too quick to put a levy on. Thank you.
Thank you.
From a policy perspective on the chamber's rent, we said last year when we approved it that was going to be the last year. So starting when are they going to be paying?
January 1st.
Of 2017. So starting January 2017, they are going to be paying rent. We said last year when we approved it, that was the last year.
I'm talking about, no, it doesn't. No, it didn't either. Not in the rest time. It doesn't say that.
Okay.
It was endless.
Mr. Barbier, do you care to offer anything else from a legal perspective?
Well, we've spoken at length about this issue, and Bernie quoted half of what I said.
I did refer to the Ohio Constitution with respect to economic development, and I believe that is economic development. The other thing I said was Chapter 504 of the Ohio Revised Code gave greatly enhanced powers to limited home rule townships, and I believe that also gives authority for Colerain Township to spend money for economic development. I believe that paying a certain amount of money to the Chamber of Commerce for economic development was a legitimate expenditure of funds. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
That's not the Attorney General's opinion.
Garrett Pace.
I'll be quick. I'd like to take a look at the resolution before I speak on this. Maybe I'll speak on it at the last meeting. But I think that over the last month, there's been some things going on. Maybe some airing of our dirty laundry that doesn't need to be aired on social media. I think that can be cleaned up a bit, but it just comes down to business ethics and, proper etiquette when you're addressing someone in business, which this would be considered. But I'll be short. I want to look at the resolution, and the next trustee meeting, I'll address it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Linville.
Oh, Lord. Here we go again.
How you doing, Bill?
Pretty good. I'm back for this senior center again. I want you guys to know that the Y has doubled the membership since they've took it over. That COA, the dinners, that's been really increased. So I think you guys should know it. I think Jim knows it, or he should know it.
Did not know that.
I'm just curious how we coming and getting the place fixed up, the floors, the carpet. I know people have looked at it, but I also seen an article in the paper, I thought, where the state might come through with some funds to help with this stuff. Am I right? Do you remember that? Have you seen anything like that in the Northwest where they get public buildings that were going to pass a bill up in Ohio? Well, if they do, maybe you ought to check on that. It was in the Northwest paper maybe 3 weeks ago. If they do, maybe you ought to have an inspector check it and check our heating, air conditioner. Anything the state will pay for, you might as well take it, because if you don't, they'll damn sure give it to somebody else. Now, my question to you is, when these people come, a new business, and they ask you for a tax abatement, when they want a tax break, do you ever ask them, what can you do for the township besides just asking for money from us?
Mr. Linville, why don't you use the rest of your time, and then when you're done, we'll try to answer everything.
Okay. And then the other thing is, you guys gave Rumpke a very good contract for 5 years for the trash. I'm hoping you could get together with the Y and give them an extension 3 to 5 years so they can get things going for the center over here. This year is half over, and I understand it runs out in December, and they can't plan anything for 17 until you guys give them an extension. So I think they're doing great, and I'm hoping that you will give them an extension up there so they can get some more programs going for us seniors. That's about it.
For whatever it's worth, I think they're doing a great job too. This past Saturday, for whatever it's worth, the trustees had a budget planning session, and the issue of the YMCA contract came up, and it was unanimous that we all wanted it to continue. So I wouldn't have any problem drafting an extension sooner rather than later. So I think you can, from the current 3 trustees, there's clear consensus to keep it going, and there was openness to looking at whatever capital needs the center needs to keep it viable. So
that's great, because Nora didn't know anything about the extension. At least she didn't the other day when I talked to her.
Got nothing to worry about as far as the thing continuing.
Okay.
And then as far as economic development goes?
By the way, we are having a dance Friday the 17th. I'd like to see all you guys show up to that dance. Support the seniors like you ask us to support you.
Amen.
That's it.
Can I ask a clarifying? When you said that the YMCA doubled the membership, are you talking about membership numbers, or they doubled your fees?
I think the membership number of people.
Okay, I thought you were telling me that they doubled your fees.
No, not the fee. No,
Okay.
we're trying to work on that also.
Okay.
Because we can get a lot more members if we would set $20 for a senior. If you're a senior, you're a senior. I don't care if you're Green Township, Whitewater, wherever. If you want to join our center, pay your $20, join. And there's a lot of activities up there. And it only costs, it's $20, okay? That's like 1 cup of coffee a month they'd have to give up. Most places cost you $2 for a cup of coffee.
Sure.
So we give you coffee, so the day you want to come on that day. You don't go to Frisch's, get a cup of coffee on us. You don't lose a damn thing. So.
And I did talk to Mr. Heckler, the director, and told him about the budget meeting on Saturday, and him and I are going to get together and talk about a contract extension. So I have it in the budget to continue that contract.
What about, I know you looked at the floors. Have you did anything about that?
Not yet. The budget hearing will be held on July the 12th. So you might want to come July 12th and make sure you register your comments again.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Linville.
Thank you.
Development
Yeah, go
question. Just from an economic development standpoint, I'd say every other week we tell people that no, something is not, it doesn't qualify for a tax incentive. I mean, recently we had a fast food restaurant that was coming in the township, asked for a tax incentive. We said, absolutely not. We're not going to incentivize a fast food restaurant. We have enough of those in the township. So when we do put in tax incentives, we put minimum job creation, minimum investment. And then to put that even further, Civic Center Drive, where Casker Company is, and RB Tool and Manufacturing, that was an enterprise zone. So there was a portion of that abated. And every year, and this is coming up in 2 weeks, there's a tax incentive review council, and it's made up of people from the Hamilton County Auditor's Office, the schools, Colerain Township, and the Hamilton County Development Company, the economic development arm of Hamilton County. And we review to make sure that they are meeting their investment goals and their job creation goals. And we've had people in the past where we said, look, if you don't add 6 more jobs in 2014, we're going to claw back. We're going to take back these tax incentives because it's a contract between us and them. You're going to create jobs. You're going to invest. So we're reviewing that on an annual basis with every one of those. It's been like that since I've been here. Yeah. I don't know what they did before.
I know companies can give back to the township.
Yeah.
Just like those guys that put me work for the township. They get credit for it. That's the number one thing.
Ron Wormel?
You got some good help here tonight, these two guys here. Gentlemen, I'm working the parks, and we've been doing it for 4 years. Right now, we're in crisis. I got some schedules I'd like to pass up to you. Can I bring them up to you?
I'd love that. Thank you.
All the yellow spots you see, gentlemen, we don't have no help.
These all
You're
the same.
losing thousands of dollars every week. We need about 8 to 10 people to take care of it. I have a suggestion. Clifford Park, you got 2 entrances. Shut down the one on the short side. We can use 4 people to take care of doing that. And just have the people coming in one gate. We need to have 3-hour shifts. We can't do 4-hour shifts. Me and my wife are doing 6 and 8-hour shifts to cover the Colerain Park. In the last 2 years, the parks have changed. By that, the people have changed. We have more problems. I have called more police in the last week than I ever have. People don't listen. The contract we have with this, I hate to say it, sucks. You got to redo it. You got to raise the rates. $50 on the yearly, for the daily, for the citizens and non-citizens, so we can hire Colerain Township off-duty officers to patrol Clifford Park, Heritage Park, to help maybe just a 4-hour shift or 6-hour shift. Heritage Park isn't that much. You're losing money all across the board here, guys. Last year I made Mr. Ritter make sure he goes home and gets his pass to come through the park because he forgot it, right?
Yep.
And he also forgot the hot dogs and brats and mets too. He had to go back home. So the two ladies that are doing this and taking care of it, Tawanda and Marion Coates, are doing a good job. I'm asking if you guys will ever watch television and see the Boss program, where the boss comes out.
Undercover boss, right?
I would invite you gentlemen to come some Saturday or some Sunday when we're on. You see our schedule, it says Ron and Fran. Bring a chair, sit down, listen to the people. More people are saying, we're not going to pass the tax levy. We got people that says, you passed the tax levy. We never passed the damn tax levy. They'll rather pay $10 and pay higher taxes. And we got a lot of gang problems starting up with groups of kids. We get in free. No, you don't. Not with me. Colerain Park is my park when I'm on duty. And I think Dan knows how I operate. I think the chief knows how I operate. And my wife used to operate as she was one of the first dispatchers you had here when you changed over. We need your help, guys. Please call me at home. You have my phone number. We are working where we went 3 days. We're working 6 and 7 days now, so we can keep the money coming in. But if you don't do it, you might as well forget about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. If I could ask, so I'm assuming that he's wanting to shut down the other entrance at Clifford because people are sneaking in. In other words, they're not paying, they're going in that way. From a safety perspective, do you see any issues with putting a gate there or something?
I'll speak for the fire chief. I think.
I'm sorry.
As far as we're concerned, either one of the gates are in the proximity to Station 25 and also Redwood Road. So,
Can I make a suggestion? I know you got those big concrete things that you can put in the roadway, put them to the top, but no parking at any time, tollway zone, put a sign up telling them it's neighborhood parking. If you're not parking here, but they'll park and try to go in, give them a warning ticket, then after that, tow the bus out. That's the only way to stop it. And over the weekend, another thing I forgot to say is we had the Green Church group in. I'm done. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Okay. They came in, was set up. When I went down, they started setting things up. I said, well, you can't put those up. I'd like to see the contract. You have pictures on it that says no propane, no tents, no blow-ups, no propane. You know, things like this so they can see what they can't do. So I was checking. I got their other things out, and we have a lot of people that stop to talk to us. Dogs, people, everybody. And there are a lot of eyes for us. And they tell us what's going on. And I said, man, I wonder how they got that grill in there. Oh yeah, they took all the posts out, 2 of the wooden posts, and drove 3 cars into the 2 areas and unloaded everything and hooked up the grill. If somebody was there at 8 o'clock in the morning, or we could have stopped that.
Well, thank you again for coming tonight, and I want to thank you and your wife for your service, and thanks for your suggestions.
Call me. I got a lot more other things for you.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Linda Rothwell.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm not real good at this. I think the last time I really got into the township business was back in the 80s when you guys disbanded the department. Not you personally. But I have a couple of comments I'd like to make, and then if you want to respond to them, that's fine. One has to do with the Rumpke deal that you guys made. Why did you not give us an opt-in, opt-out option like you did with Duke Energy? I know a lot of people are still upset over that because it was forced down our throat without a vote. And I know personally some people that didn't have garbage trash pickup at all, and now they're forced to incur a bill that they didn't have. And people want a fixed income. That's not an easy thing to take. So that's just one comment. My other comment is, you passed some kind of a resolution tonight about your duties.
We haven't yet.
It will be
Okay.
presented.
Are we privy to get a copy of that?
It'll be posted.
Assuming it is passed this evening, it'll be posted on the website, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow morning.
Okay. One of the comments I have to make is I, as a taxpayer, elect each one of yous to represent me in this township. Okay? You guys are elected officials. You, in turn, have hired these people to, in essence, take on part of your responsibilities, correct?
They run things on a day-to-day basis,
Under your direction.
under our direction to the administrator. Everybody reports up through Jim.
Okay, but the ultimate decisions that are made in this township are made by you three.
The board makes the policy, and then the administration's job is to carry out that policy, and that includes through day-to-day operations.
Okay, because the statement that kind of bothered me, on the township website, it says, in the township form of government, the Board of Trustees appoints a township administrator to act as administrative head of the township under the direction and supervision of the trustees. In an email that you sent to him, it says the role of the board is to set policies, not get involved in the day-to-day operations. I disagree with that. I put you there to be involved in the day-to-day operations of my community. See what I'm saying? I pay you.
I'll respond
So,
when you're done.
okay. So that's an issue that I have, is like, I feel like you're doing everything and they just sign off on it, but if they want to have input into it, you have an issue with it. When you hold meetings, any one of these three guys should be able to go, whether they're invited or not. Okay, that's my personal feeling, because I put him here to oversee what you guys do for me. Does that not make sense?
I understand your position.
Okay, all right. So I guess that's probably the only two issues I still had, other than, Heather, were you here when Dave Gully was here? Okay. I don't know how far back that goes. I don't think any of you guys were here then. I think the fire chief is probably the only one that knows who Dave Gully was. I don't recall him having an assistant and lawyers and people. Now, granted, the township had lawyers. Everybody has lawyers. But are you guys paid an annual salary every year from the township, or only as your services are needed, like the lawyer?
I can answer that when you're finished
Okay,
as well.
that's fine. So I'm just trying to figure out why. I mean, yes, the township has grown as far as businesses and people, but I don't think we've really grown as far as land area, as to why we would need people on the payroll constantly if we don't have litigation going on with Rumpke or something, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand why we pay annually for, you know.
Okay.
All right, that's all.
Thank you. Well, your first point on the, go ahead.
I had already discussed that with the police. Yeah, the light, he was gonna check with the Hamilton County engineers. So, all right, and then one more quickie question for that gentleman. He gave me the resolution for the curfew. You said 12:01 to 5. On this paper here, it also says there's a daytime curfew from 8 to 2:30. Is that just during the school year? Okay, thank you.
Well, the first point on the roles and responsibilities, you know, when a single trustee, you know, inserts himself into meetings that go on a day-to-day basis, it's just an untenable and dysfunctional situation, in my opinion. We cede the administrative leadership of the township, again, on a day-to-day basis, to Mr. Rowan, under our direction, as the Ohio Constitution states. And so I just agree to disagree with you on there as well. I think about it akin to a public company in America, you know, has a board of directors and a chairman of the board. I would challenge you to find a single company in which a director is attending meetings on a day-to-day basis for the running of that company. It just doesn't happen. So that's my 2 cents worth on that. I just agree to disagree.
throw anything
Yeah,
to add?
with regards to the Rumpke matter, we learned a lot through this process, and I think if I had to do it all over again, we wouldn't probably provide an opt-out because I believe everybody generates garbage and is responsible for garbage. But I think, and I've provided some counsel to some other townships that are looking to do a bid package very similar to us. I think probably what we would do differently is we would allow every hauler to provide a bid and then let the residents choose what hauler and what price point they want to pay. But everybody would be required to have garbage because everybody generates garbage. The other thing we talked about is we do recognize that there are some elderly folk that may have a family member pick up their garbage. We talked about possibly in the next contract putting some sort of a surcharge on the family. You got to remember the haulers are there to make money. If we would have provided an opt-out, then it would have skewed the pricing. And our goal was to try to lower the cost for all residents. If we would have given an opt-out, then they would have had to speculate what percentage of people would sign up, and that would have driven the cost up, and then it would have made it maybe cost prohibitive for the residents.
I don't see a savings myself right now, but I know that I live next to my father. He generates one bag of garbage.
Sure.
Period, a week. So therefore, he did not have garbage service.
Sure.
And they have since forced him to take garbage service.
And where did he take his garbage? Where did he take his garbage before? Okay, so from Rumpke's perspective, basically they're looking at this from the perspective that that's theft to them because you have two residences and he's putting his garbage or going somewhere else. And I'm not here to debate the merits of this. We made a decision to do the contract. We've learned a lot from it. Whether we choose to renew it in 5 years, I don't know. But we understand. We understand the concerns that are out there, and we'll try to make it a better contract. Ultimately, our goal was to try to lower the cost for our residents, to get the surcharge off the bills, and to have some control. And we realize that it caused some concerns for some residents, but we believe for the majority of the residents it was the right decision.
Dramatically increase recycling too.
And then the other point that you made with regards to the law director. So I know that Jim Reuter served as law director for this township for many, many years. And it was on a contract basis. And I would venture to get, what's that? He was here during Dave Golly. Okay, he was here during Dave Golly. So the way our law director's contract is structured now, there's an annual cap, which we did not have previously to bringing on Larry Barbier's firm. He is paid a base salary, a small amount, it might be like $35,000 a year for basically day-to-day, but it's all billable. So everything's documented in an invoice. And then his cap's at $100,000. So anything above that $35,000 is billed to us, and then once we hit the cap, then he's shut off. So really, we're paying him for the services he's rendered, whether it's legal advice, resolution preparation, the litigation we've been involved with, everything from a law director's perspective. But it's not something we just started. It's been going on here for years.
Mr. Mussig, you can come up to the microphone.
My name is Larry Mussig. Question I had relevant to what this lady's asking about something about the township. You know, you've got the administrator or the administrators, you've got the trustees. What's the issue here? I'm not understanding that. Is there an issue here? Or?
I think the issue is.
Could you come to the microphone so we?
Oh, I don't want to throw a lot of dirty water around.
But we need to pick it up for the microphones for Waycross.
I believe that, my personal opinion, I don't know a whole lot about you yet. I know quite a bit about you from just what I've read, and I know Mr. Inscott.
Or if you read things, I'm just curious. You say read.
Don't go into specifics, but like on the township.
I would argue that's probably not true, but keep
on
going.
the township webpage, I've learned a little bit about you, what you stand for, and things of that nature. I have been to several meetings over the last couple of months where I've seen you two get into it, and it just seems like I was back in high school because it was like childish, petty stuff. Okay? The thing is I voted to put each and every one of you, except for you, because you were elected by someone else, into this office to represent me. It doesn't make you better than him or him better than you. When he wants to talk, he should be allowed to talk. If he wants to go to these meetings, he should be allowed to go.
I just disagree with that.
I understand that you disagree, but I put him in that office to represent me.
And my one of my duties is to make sure this township runs efficiently and effectively on a day-to-day basis with minimal dysfunction. And I think going to meetings whenever is.
But if he has questions about what's going on,
yep, that's fair.
There's other ways to be informed when you're a board member.
There needs to be an open line of communication between each board member and the CEO. He is the administrator. He is akin to the chief executive officer of this organization.
He answers to you guys.
He does, and that's why you have to have an open line of communication to be informed and to be able to ask questions back and forth. That's the way it runs most efficiently.
Because I just feel like sometimes, and I'm not saying this to be really nasty, but if you're doing all the work, why do we even have you?
To set policy at a high level, to set the budget, to pass resolutions, to set the strategic direction for the township.
But I don't see that. I see him doing everything.
He manages the operations on a day-to-day basis, just like at a company. You have a board of directors and a chairman of the board that meets once a quarter and looks at compensation and other high-level things. Then you have a chief executive officer that runs the company on a day-to-day basis. It's not unlike the way the public or the private sector works.
Okay, but really and truly, you want to run this as a business, but it's not a business. You guys, it's almost like we're your boss, right?
Right.
Okay, so I don't understand.
I think you're just looking at it way too simplistically, and you fail to comprehend the intricacies of what's going on a day-to-day
Use your words
basis.
a little differently.
I didn't mean that offensively. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that, I'm the boss. I put you there. I pay your salary. And then apparently I also pay his salary. But yet he's not allowed to attend his meetings. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That makes a lot of sense to me if you're trying to run an efficient organization and respect the man that's the CEO.
I put this gentleman here because I wanted to find out what was going on with our money. That's why I voted for him. Because the township has gone downhill for quite some time.
I think
So
what I'd
when
like
it
to
comes
just,
to
what I
budget
just like,
hearings or anything else, he should be allowed to go. He may not say anything, but he should be allowed to sit in there and listen to everything you say.
We just had a 2.5-hour budget meeting last Saturday. It was a public meeting. We went line by line about where the money's being spent and why. And I mean, there's no more transparency than that.
We've got open checkbook law. We've got everything on God's green earth posted on the website. But irrespective of that,
Why did you get so upset?
well, look at it
he
from my
showed up for a
perspective.
meeting.
So you just shared with this board that you're their boss. But there's 59,000 other people in this community that live here.
Right.
So the majority of this community decides who these 3 board members are.
That's correct.
Okay, once they make that decision, they're no longer working for you, they're working for the community.
That's correct.
Okay, so from my perspective, I don't work for any one of those individuals, I work for the board. So I need to make sure that I'm moving things forward based on the majority of the board. And when I have one board member who feels that they can interject anytime they want in the operation, then that circumvents the policy setup. I work for a board, not an individual. So I also have to worry about quorum. If a board member just shows up at one of my meetings and another board member decides to show up, now I have an illegal meeting. So my point is, I have a leadership team. I very rarely ever have a meeting without one of these guys sitting beside me. We do things as a team here. We've been hired to run the township. At the same time, when matters come to the point where we have reached some consensus or understanding, then we communicate with the board. We may do that through email. We may do that through a public meeting. There's certain things we do behind closed doors because of the sensitive nature of it, but we keep the board involved. My only issue is I work for the board, and I want to make sure that if you want to come to a meeting, then ask to be invited, just don't pop up.
Did
Yesterday,
you
I sent...
not ask to go to that meeting?
I asked the law director, actually, and he said it was okay that I was there, as long as another trustee wasn't there, and that's why I went.
And my point is, the law director doesn't run the township. I've been hired to do that. If Greg would have called me,
I put them there to run the township, and now you're telling me that you run the township.
I run the township in accordance with the board's policies and direction.
Agree on this. Let's just agree to disagree. We got to get on with the rest of the meeting. Mr. Mussick, did you have something to say? And, oh, by the way, ma'am, I really meant no offense with my comment. I apologize if it was taken that way.
I appreciate this because I didn't realize there was so much animosity apparently going on between various people. I don't know what the answer is, but
I can tell you what the answer is. To respect people. To respect our administrator, not call him a thief. That would be a start. I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did.
All I'm saying is that in business, as somebody has mentioned a number of times, been thrown around here, I've never seen a CEO or a department head or anybody go into someone that works directly or even indirectly for them and basically get thrown out, which I don't know if that's what happened or told, but it just seems that whatever you did may have been wrong, but whatever you did may have been wrong too. So you guys are going to have to figure it out.
Thanks, Mr. Mussick.
Thanks, Larry.
Administrator reports. Where we starting tonight?
Jenna, you want to start?
Sure. 2 quick updates from Planning and Zoning. First, on the comprehensive plan, I just wanted to get you up to speed that key person interviews should be completed by the end of June. Staff is working on some research reports, and we intend to have the drafts of those to the task force at some point in August, at which time we can then focus on the land use plan update and implementation strategies in the fall with some public input as well. The second update I'd like to provide to you has to do with the approved text amendment, which this board approved in March of this year for the storage of trash receptacles in front yards. You had asked for that 90-day update. We've reached that 90 days. At this point, the only complaint that my department has received was actually that someone had constructed a short privacy fence to screen the trash receptacles in the front yard, which is not allowed by the zoning code. So not any other complaints about the storage of those trash receptacles in the front yard themselves. There has been a text amendment initiated to allow but not require screening of those trash receptacles in the front yard, and that should be before this board for your decision in August of this year.
Okay, on June the 23rd, the fire department will be recognized and receive the American Heart Association Mission Lifeline EMS Silver Award for implementing quality improvement measures for the treatment of patients who experience severe heart attacks. Every year, more than 250,000 people in the U.S. experience a ST-elevated myocardial infarction event, the most deadly type of heart attack caused by blockage of blood flow to the heart that requires timely treatment. To prevent death, it's critical to restore blood flow as quickly as possible, either by mechanical means, opening up with a blood vessel, or providing blood clot busting medication. Unfortunately, a significant number of these patients don't receive this prompt reperfusion therapy, which is critical to restoring blood flow in the heart. Mission Lifeline seeks to save lives by closing the gaps that separate these patients from timely access to appropriate treatments. Mission Lifeline's EMS recognition program recognizes emergency medical service departments for their efforts in improving systems of care and improving the quality of life for these patients. Specifically, the department has exceeded the national guidelines that suggest that these patients be evaluated with a 12-lead EKG within 10 minutes of their first emergency medical care contact, receive initial treatment and transport within 15 minutes, and notify an appropriate receiving hospital's catheterization laboratory of the suspected condition for the immediate attention. Regional agencies that receive the Mission Lifeline Silver Award have demonstrated at least 75% compliance for each required achievement measure for 1 year period. Our emergency medical services treatment exceeds these national expectations. Our American Heart Association region encompasses 3 states, 16 counties, 22 hospitals, and 150 fire and EMS agencies. We are 11 one of 11 agencies in the region to be recognized and awarded. We are pleased to be recognized for our dedication and achievements in emergency medical care for cardiac patients that we provide service to. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
In 2014, the board approved a plan to help us increase our diversity within the police department. That plan was to offer a scholarship to a quality candidate to attend the police academy. So I'm proud to announce our first scholarship recipient, Andre Jones, graduated the police academy last Thursday, and he'll be joining us here in a few weeks if you approve the appointment that I'm going to present to you here in a few minutes. So we're very proud of him, and we're glad to get that moving. Our next Coffee with the Chiefs is going to be this Friday at Northgate Mall in the food court at 6 p.m.
At the last meeting, we updated our aggregation agreement, and I have talked to a lot of folks in the past 2 weeks, and I just want to reiterate, if someone comes to your door and wants to see your Duke Energy bill, please don't give that to them. And if they call and ask for your account number for your Duke Energy bill, once again, I would not give that account number over the phone. Our two aggregation providers are Dynegy and Constellation. You might be opening mail with different companies. I would just urge you, I've talked to so many people that have signed up and they might have a 6-month lower rate and then they have a $100 opt-out fee and their rate goes well above what it is in our aggregation program. Unfortunately, typically it's elderly people that have not been engaged in this process. It's kind of a new process with deregulation. So if you know any people at the senior center, that might be a great idea to talk to them because the price to compare, this person comes to your door and says, look, you're paying, they look at the price to compare where our aggregation price is much lower, and then they sign them up higher than our aggregation rate with a $50 opt-out fee, and they're taking advantage of these people. And I just want to reiterate, don't give out your account number over the phone, and if somebody comes to your door, chances are they're not reputable, and don't speak to them, and call the police if you can, or call Colerain Township aggregation line. Thanks.
Just two items. On June 8th, we had a conference call with the legal counsel of the Ohio Police and Fire regarding the Firefighter 2B program. We've presented to the board a couple times during this year regarding the hours and hours worked for part-time employees. Just an update. I don't have much on the fact that we had a conference call. We discussed that there's some exchange of documentation going back and forth between legal counsel. We had to provide them with a little bit more information, so that's currently continuing to work. We hope to have a resolution fairly soon. When you say, Larry?
Hope so.
Absolutely. So we're moving forward. The second item is appreciate the information from Captain Mueller. As you know, we're pretty at the forefront of this issue with heroin, and we manage our numbers and learn where we are to do some benchmarking. And the captain presented to us the stats for January to May 31, 2015. We had 83 overdoses. The same time period this year, we've had 56. That's close to 39% reduction. And since we had like a 30% reduction from July to the end of the year last year. So I don't know every community out there, but the fact that we're talking about reduced overdoses means reduced deaths and reduced exposure to the HIV and the hepatitis C issues that go along with that. So I just want to commend the men and women who service us in our police and fire departments and our commitment to the quick response team. And because I think that ability to connect is making a difference. So just want to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to announce that Colerain Township was recently awarded for the third year in a row finalist for Healthiest Employer through Cincinnati Business Courier. This is not possible without the buy-in of our employees, recognize the importance of wellness, and I'd just like to send my appreciation to Emily Randolph, our HR director, for her diligence in not only applying for this award, but also for helping our employees achieve those wellness standards. So once again, third year in a row.
Thank you. Trustees report. Mr. Insco. Thank you. First of all, I want to wish everyone a happy Flag Day. Flag Day is also the birthday of the U.S. Army, so if we have any Army soldiers here, happy birthday. Since the last trustee meeting, I want to report back that the Relay for Life was a huge success. We were able to honor the late Joe Moulter at the event. I was also invited to participate in the opening ceremonies at the Germania Society's Mayfest event, and I just want to thank Janice Barr for the tickets. My girlfriend and I went after the Relay for Life proclamation. I said this last month, but the Galbraith Road construction really has hurt some longstanding businesses, and I still want to encourage everyone to support those local businesses, especially in that corridor. Our annual Memorial Day event at the corner of Colerain and Springdale was a quick and powerful celebration. I also want to recognize Jim Acton for organizing it for a number of years. Cora did an amazing job singing. I also want to remind everyone that you can buy a brick there if you'd like to honor someone. We had a long tenured employee that would call me anytime someone would call the administration building asking for a judge to marry them. Since we're a township, we obviously don't have judges, but I'll happily help anyone out if they need an officiant if you get any of those type of calls. I don't charge anything, it's just my way of giving back. I actually just officiated one at the community center next door here, and I have to give credit to our employee, Steve Cassidy. He did an awesome job running it and working with the couple, and then he also did a great job with the graduation party right next door in the other hall. So it's nice seeing our community center being used to its potential. It was great. The previous board was allowed to appoint someone to the Financial Advisory Committee. Since I was elected, I haven't been given that luxury. There's really no reason why I shouldn't be allowed to appoint someone. June 22nd is the next FACT meeting. It's on the tax budget, capital plan, and fund balance policy. I would like to make an appointment before that. Chris Henson helped organize the first annual historic cemetery cleanup, and she said a hardy group of 6 volunteers braved the 90-degree heat to clean up the Dunlap station. Lowe's donated Simple Green and Cleaner, and Home Depot donated scrub brushes and spray bottles to the event. The tombstones were scrubbed, and I can tell you from the pictures I saw to amazing results. And some of the tombstones that were buried were even unearthed. She encouraged everyone to mark your calendar for the first Saturday of June 2017. This event will be scheduled annually. So special thanks to Mary Burdett, Richard Briggs, Vicky Is it Burdett? I'm sorry, thank you. Richard Briggs, Vicky Humphreys, Bob Matthew, Betty Sandos. Sandos. I know, but I can't pronounce it. Forgive me. And, of course, the event chair, Chris Henson. Kevin Maddock is also working with a proposal to help with the cemetery cleanup as well. He's volunteered countless hours, and he's very passionate about repairing and fixing these old stones, and it's neat. He's able to find a lot of the history behind them, too, which I thought was interesting. So I'll forward his proposal as soon as I get it. I hate to continue to be the bearer of bad news, although I am trying to work with Northgate Mall. We will not have summer camp or our annual 4th of July fireworks display again this year. The consensus of the board seems to be if we pass a parks levy, they will agree with me to bring these programs back. My main concern is protecting our investment in the parks. We let our parks diminish last year, and I'm just not okay with that. I believe there were 8 park levies on the last ballot, and Colerain was the only one to fail. We were also the only one to combine our levies, which I disagreed with. I don't have any millage estimates on a potential levy, but I really need feedback from the community if this is something you would be willing to support or not. Whether you are for it or against it, I promise I will listen to you and I will respect your opinion. I just need feedback, so don't be afraid to give it to me. I want to wish a special thanks to Darcy Bradley for once again saving the day and sponsoring our movies in the park. There's also a free concert this Friday at the Colerain Township Park Amphitheater. It's the Jump and Jive Show Band, so if you're looking for some free entertainment, check that out. Social media was abuzz from the investigation into the 30-round handgun magazine that was found in the main office at Northwest High School. I think everyone initially thought that it was a kid that brought it to school. As it turned out, it fell from his pocket, or it fell from the pocket of an off-duty SWAT officer. Yeah, that's what I said. The officer's agency is addressing the security of the equipment. The school district is aware and appreciative of the work done by our officers. I'm just glad it wasn't as it appeared, and I want to continually thank Police Chief Mark Denny for being on top of social media. He does a great job of that. Mark, he also produced some impressive statistics from the OVI checkpoint a couple Saturdays ago. We seized 13 cars. I also appreciate hands-on community policing. We all remember Angela Myers at Kroger's, and she was, to me, the definition of community policing. I got a call from a Northbrook resident that Mark took the time to go out to her house and hear her concerns. And again, that is community policing, so thank you for that. If you would like to meet Mark, or I guess get an autograph, he does a Coffee with the Chief program. The next one is Friday at 6 p.m., this Friday at 6 p.m. at the food court in Northgate Mall, so you're welcome to go up and join him. In my efforts to have the most transparent administration possible, I still have not received expenses or an email back from the administration's recent trip to Las Vegas. We did have a work session on Saturday, and I really appreciate everyone's involvement. Some of us were on vacation. Jim said he'd be willing to pay for his own flight if the board agreed, and I appreciate that, Jim. I really do. If our economics director goes to that conference, I'm okay with that. In my efforts to benchmark this with other communities, I don't know that we should send 3, forgive me, friends without board approval. I knew nothing about this trip. I'm not trying to pick on Jim, but he is the highest paid employee, and he's still accepting raises while everyone else has been on pay freezes. Meanwhile, we have BZA board members who sit up here once a month, just like we do, that only make $100 per year. I'd rather see that flight money go to them so we can at least cover their gas to the BZA meetings. My friends at LaSalle closed out an amazing season. They were GCL, district, and regional championships, and runner-up in the state. All of this was extra special because it was the 50th anniversary of LaSalle baseball. I was asked to give a commencement speech at Pleasant Run Elementary, but I also wanted to congratulate all of our friends that graduated from Northwest, LaSalle, Macaulay, Colerain. Hopefully, if they only remember 3 words I say, they'll remember this: live your dreams. I can't say that enough. As I close, I just want to wish everyone a happy early Father's Day. The Talbert House recognized Ken Griffey Sr., Buddy LaRosa, and my childhood friend Brad Wallace as 2016 Fathers of the Year at its 8th annual fatherhood celebration. The event raised $300,000. Although I haven't been fortunate enough to start my own family, I learned something from 18 years of being a camp counselor. Kids don't necessarily understand rich or poor, but they understand love, so just love them. That's all for me. Thank you.
I'd also like to wish a happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I know I'll certainly enjoy my first Father's Day this Sunday. There is a lot of transparency already in this township and in this organization. We just had a budget meeting last Saturday that was 2.5 hours, and we went through all the items and discussed where we all stand on the issues and where we want the money to be spent or not spent. For people to question Jim's leadership of the administration is completely misplaced. Greg has had a personal vendetta against Jim ever since he started campaigning, and he's continued that here as he's been part of the board. It's important to remember that the board sets the policy. The administration then carries out that policy, and when you carry out policy, you're dealing with day-to-day operations. Any organization, in order to be efficient, requires chain of command and clarity as to what your role and what your responsibilities are. The board acts as a whole. The board does not act as an individual. Leadership teams must work together, and within a team there must be a level of trust and also transparency. That is what the structure is here. There's times to be informed. You can be informed by a department head by picking up the phone and asking questions. They'll give you answers, and you can then relay that information back. I don't think that it's professional or respectful to go to social media and rant about the interchanges between the administration and the board. As far as the fact meetings go, it's my understanding that Trustee Insko has been invited to that next meeting. So I don't know where the concern is there. There's plenty of transparency there. I'd also like to thank Director Malloy for putting on the Memorial Day ceremony. That was a very nice ceremony commemorating people who have given their lives so that we can all live in freedom. That's all I have.
For my part, I wanted to just mention this past Tuesday, I was fortunate enough to attend a luncheon with Director Malloy of the Hamilton County Addiction Services Council, and I probably don't have that right, but thank you. And it was really heartwarming to see. I actually had to leave the meeting early, but I understand from Director Malloy that Colerain Township was specifically singled out by the head of that agency and singled out for our great work with our QRT team and our leadership position on the heroin epidemic. So I want to really just commend our entire team that's involved in the QRT on the great job they're doing there and leading the way. And then secondly, just wanted to thank everybody for the discussion and your time this past Saturday. I thought it was a fruitful discussion. And just to clarify, the board was polled on the issue of levy in November. Mr. Inverhees said no levy at all. I said I would consider another road levy of a lesser amount than what we had. Mr. Insko is the one in favor of a park levy, and since I believe it achieves almost the same end of a road levy, I believe I extended my hand across the aisle and I said, okay, there might be some common ground there to move forward. Mr. Rowan is going to model some different scenarios on what that would look like, predicated on restoring the 4th of July and restoring summer camps and funding the maintenance for our parks. And that would eliminate the parking pass and the annual pass, by the way. But nothing's been decided. We still have another month to go till the tax budget's hearing, and that's submitted to Hamilton County. But that's where we stand on the issues of levy. And I also said, I might consider it one more time in November, but that's pretty much it for me. We're looking at the 2020-2021 period where the public services or public safety is going to be in need of help at that point based on our current modeling. So I might consider it one last time, but that's just me talking. But anyway, I just wanted to keep everybody informed on what the discussions was about the property tax levy situation. Nothing's been decided, but that's pretty much the tone of the conversation last Saturday. With that, let's move on with the agenda. New business. Chief Cook.
Okay, just requesting the board give consideration to acceptance of a $20 cash donation, anonymous donation.
Make a motion. Second.
Sorry. Mr. Insko?
Aye.
Mr. Inverhees?
Aye.
Mr. Bitter?
Aye.
Thank you.
Request the board's approval to accept a donation from William Osmond in the amount of $100.
This was for a gentleman we did a wellness check while he's on vacation, is that right?
Vacation checks on his house while he was out of town,
I
yes.
thought that was actually awesome that you guys did that. I never knew that. So for those of you that aren't aware, if you're going on vacation and you want a wellness check done on your house, not that you guys aren't busy enough, but Mark doesn't mind, washing your windows or whatever it is he does.
Important things that we do.
Thank you. So yes, that's an easy, I'll make the motion. Second.
Mr. Inverhees?
Aye.
Mr. Insko?
Thank you again. Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Bitter?
Aye.
Yes, the board's approval of appointment of a full-time police officer, Andre Jones, to the position of full-time officer. If approved, Andre Jones' salary would be $47,528, and he would serve a 1-year probationary period, and that is contingent upon his passing of the state certification test.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Inverhees?
Aye.
Mr. Insko?
Aye.
Mr. Bitter?
Aye.
Request the board's approval to appoint Nicole Dennis to the position of full-time police officer. As Andre was, she'll have the starting salary of $47,528 and serve the 1-year probationary period as well.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Insko?
Aye.
Mr. Bitter?
Aye.
The next 3 requests won't have a name attached to them. We're still in the selection process and identifying the best candidates, but we want to go ahead and have these positions approved by the board so we can take action quickly and get these filled. It's a permission to appoint for a full-time vacancy. We had an officer resign. This will be backfilling that position.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Inverhees?
Aye.
Mr. Insko?
Aye.
Mr. Bitter?
Aye.
Next is the appointment of a full-time records clerk. Our current full-time records clerk on night shift was just promoted to full-time officer a few minutes ago by your vote, Nicole Dennis, so that position is vacant also. So we'll need to appoint someone in that position.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Inverhees?
Aye.
Mr. Insko?
Aye.
Mr. Bitter?
Aye.
Third is recommending approval to hire 2 part-time clerks for day shift. This was a full-time position a couple months ago, and we made that 2 part-time positions to save us money on healthcare and other issues like that. Both of those 2 part-time positions have moved on, so we need to replace both of them as well.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Inverhees?
Aye.
Mr. Insko?
Aye.
Mr. Bitter?
Aye.
Final item is request for approval of a resolution to give Administrator James Rowan the permission to sign contract renewals with both the Tapani Group, North Cape Mall, and Northwest Local School District. Those contracts are in excess of $900,000.
That's typically something you would sign in the past. Is that kind of how that? I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Inverhees?
Aye.
Mr. Insko?
Aye.
Mr. Bitter?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, the next item is the part-time seasonal hires, and I appreciate Mr. Wormel being here, talking about trying to fill the vacancies at the parks. We are putting out on Facebook, on our township website, and other venues that we are hiring for part-time seasonal employees, $11 an hour, to try to fill some of these vacancies. That's why some of these past workers are not there. We just haven't had the applications. The item tonight is Michael Roach, Cody McKee, and Andrew Boring for $11 an hour.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
The next item, I'm sorry.
Aye. Aye. He really wants to get those employees hired.
The next item is resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement of the properties within the resolution.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
That's all. Thank you.
One item this evening for planning and zoning. It is a request for a public hearing for a zoning map amendment at 3680 Springdale Road. Request that case number ZA 2016-04 be heard on July 12, 2016 at 6 p.m. The zoning commission expected to make a recommendation on this map amendment request at their June 21st. And this item would be required a public hearing be held in front of this Board of Trustees within 30 days of that recommendation.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Aye.
Mr. Rinsko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mr. President, members of the board, I have two requests this evening. One is to approve some lighting upgrades through a Duke Energy Small Energy Saver program for 5 various facilities listed in your agenda. I've listed the amounts as well as the payback that those lighting upgrades will provide. The total cost of this project would be $42,035.22, and our purpose is to provide better lighting and greater efficiency.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Gervais?
Aye.
Mr. Rinsko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
The next item is to recommend approval of agreement with Four Seasons Environmental for retro commissioning services for township facilities at a cost of $19,650. Our HVAC systems are aging within the township. We're finding our maintenance costs to continue to rise, as well as some inefficiency. So we'd like to invest this $19,650 to get a detailed report by facility, recommending options to upgrade, looking at payback opportunities, and where we can get greater reliability and efficiency. This would be a one-time fee.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Gervais?
Aye.
Mr. Rinsko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
And then the only other item relating is the final resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution defining duties of the Colerain Township Administrator and individual trustees. Be it resolved that the board hereby directs the Township Administrator to perform his duties in accordance with Section 1 of the employment agreement. Also, the board directs each individual township trustee not to interfere with the administrator's or any other township employee's performance of his or her duties unless said action is approved by a motion or resolution of the board.
I'll second.
Mr. Gervais?
Aye.
Mr. Rinsko?
Nay.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye. Officers report.
Yes. Sorry. Doing too many things. All right, shall we begin with the minutes from our previous meetings?
Please do.
All right, we have the minutes of the regular meeting of April 12th, 2016.
Any changes to April 12th? Nope. Nor do I.
Okay. Your motion?
I'll make a motion to approve April 12th.
Second. Jinx.
Mr. Gervais?
Aye.
Mr. Rinsko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Great. And the regular meeting of May 10th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Gervais?
Aye.
Mr. Rinsko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Here they are. And I'd like to ask for the board's usual approval of payroll, purchase orders, and receipts.
Make the motion.
Chair will second.
Mr. Gervais?
Aye.
Mr. Rinsko?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Thank you. And happy Father's Day to all the dads out there and the grandpas and the people who act like dads even though they have no biological reason to.
Okay, with no other business before the board, I will ask for motions to adjourn.
Before I make the motion, I just want to suggest I have a vendetta as a lack of knowing me. I am not a cynical or malicious person. I do believe that unconditional love and forgiveness are two of life's greatest gifts, and I encourage everyone to use them. The day that I was sworn in to take office, I let go of, I forgave everyone and anyone that had ever said anything. And to this day, if Jim called me tonight and said he had a flat tire, I promise you I'd be out there. I'm not wishing you had a flat tire, but if you call me tonight, I promise you'll see me there. That's all I've got. I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Before we call the roll, let me just say this in the spirit of being constructive. Part of the breakdown, in my opinion, I've been in business for 30 years. I'll be 52 this year. There's a lack of communication flow between you and Mr. Rowan. And until that gets fixed, we're probably going to continue to have dysfunction. That relationship, in my opinion, is poisoned because of statements you made last year, but there's no reason that can't be fixed in the interest of moving forward. I think, there's probably somewhat isolation right now, and until that gets fixed, we're not going to have clear communication flow, and you're going to feel excluded. But if that is fixed, I believe it's the best path forward for an efficient running of operations on a day-to-day basis. Mrs. Harley, call the roll, please.
Mr. Underhies?
Aye.
Mr. Insfield?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Have a nice, safe drive home.